Hi, everybody. Can you just someone give it? Hopefully, people who are attending, can you just give us a thumbs up just to make sure that you can see the slides, everybody? Fantastic. Okay, great. Let's make a start. So, appreciate everybody. It's your lunchtime on a Thursday, and the sun is probably shining outside. It certainly is for me. So, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. So, welcome everyone to today's session. So here today, we're going to talking about unifying Epic, Cerner, and EPR data with the Fabric Healthcare Accelerator. Today's goal is simple. It's to show you how to unlock greater value from your healthcare data. We understand that integrating systems like Epic and Cerner with AI-powered insights is both the future, but also it is a major challenge from some of the conversations we've had with NHS trusts and private healthcare organisations. And that's why we'll be demonstrating today our EPR connector and our healthcare agentic AI agent. These are available on the kind of Microsoft marketplace. So we make this process easier for you and show you how this integrates into Microsoft Fabric. So as a proud Microsoft Solutions partner and Inner Circle member, we're excited to kind of share this seamless solution with you today. So let's dive in. Okay, so I will be your host today. So Steve, I'm the Business Development Director here, and I will be joined by my colleagues, Umar Sadiq. Umar is our VP of Enterprise Services at Mazik Global. Faz Mohammed, who is our Fast Track Solutions Architect. And we're also joined by Callum Chaplin. Some of you may know Callum. He's the Healthcare Technology Strategist at Microsoft. So in terms of the agenda, what we're going to cover over the next hour. So firstly, I just wanted to give you a snapshot of Mazik Global. Probably many of you have never heard of us before. So I wanted to give you an understanding of our history, our capabilities in the healthcare sector, and how we're driving healthcare innovation. Then we'll tackle the big challenge healthcare organisations face, which is around fragmented healthcare systems and how we make better use of your data to drive both operational and clinical insights. And then we'll talk about, specifically around Microsoft Fabric and how it's revolutionizing the healthcare data analytics space. And specifically, we're going to look at how we can break down the data silos that exist in your organization. And the exciting part then comes where, no pressure for my colleague Faz, but he's going to do a live demo showcasing Microsoft Fabric Healthcare Accelerator in action with real clinical dashboards and healthcare AI agent that delivers actionable insights. And then we'll wrap all this up with kind of some questions and some clear next steps. So as we go through this, please feel free to, we have got a Q&A at the end, but please, if you've got any questions, there are some of my colleagues here. So put your questions in the chat and we'll try and answer them as we're going along. So just a few minutes, just to set the scene in terms of kind of Mazik Global and at a glance and who we are. So for those of you who have not worked with us or have not come across Mazik before, we are a global organization of around about 1,000 people. So we have real strong presence in the US, in the UK, and we've got offshore capabilities in Pakistan and India. We have been a Microsoft partner actually since 2003. But the relationship with Microsoft goes back over 30 years now. So the original founders of Mazik Global were developers for Microsoft. And over the years, we've co-developed solutions for Microsoft, particularly around Dynamics 365. We developed or designed and developed the original Microsoft Cloud for Healthcare. And even to this day, we co-develop solutions with Microsoft around Copilot, Fabric, and AI. So we have around about 250 people actively working on Microsoft solutions. Supporting that, in 2022, we set up our 2 AI centres of excellence in the UAE. So we have around 100 people actively working on AI developments, both for ourselves and our customers, but also for Microsoft. And a number of years back, we made a strategic decision to move into the healthcare market. And now our business, over 50% of what we do is in the healthcare market. And, from 2001 to 23, we were the healthcare partner of the year, 3 years running in the US. So you could say we know the healthcare market. So in terms of, just quickly on this slide, it's important to make sure that any partner has the right level of accreditations and experience, and rest assured that Mazik Global does. We're a trusted Microsoft solutions partner. We're certified across all the service areas with deep expertise in delivering transformative solutions. We've won numerous awards, as I've already said, but recently in 2024 we won the World Analytics Partner of the Year, and that was based on a project that we delivered in the healthcare market. And like any business, like ourselves, it's all about people. We are a people's business. And we have, Microsoft most valuable professionals. So these people are actively involved in the Microsoft ecosystem and community. And then we also have, fast track architects, which, Faz is one of those, only a few globally acknowledged for delivering complex and high impacting solutions. So, and then in terms of, just to wrap up my last slide, so as it says there, we do know healthcare. We've worked in the healthcare market and across the US and UK, as I've already talked about, and also the UAE. Our flagship product is a product called Mazik Care. We're not going to be covering that today, but Mazik Care is effectively a cloud-based healthcare platform that helps healthcare organizations to streamline their operations, connect patient data, and also improve care using AI. And it's all built on Microsoft technologies. But just to give you an idea, these are some of our customers. So in the US, people will have heard of United Healthcare. So they use our Mazik Care platform for revenue cycle management. So looking at patient registrations, looking at insurance verification, claim submissions, and that saved them over $1 million per month in lost claims. And then we've got Ontario Workers Network. So that's across 75 hospitals. We've delivered a complete unified data platform using AI and machine learning to analyze trends. And that's what we won the World Analytics Partner of the Year award for. And then, obviously, we're in the UK and we're talking to a UK audience right now. So in the UK, in the private health, we work with ScienceUs. We delivered a full data transformation from advanced data analytics, AI decisions, looking at their back office operations and looking at optimizing their pharmacy and healthcare services. We're now embarking on a similar project with Lloyd's Clinical. And then over in the kind of Guy's and St. Thomas Hospital, we are working with Johnson & Johnson, a medtech company, where they're using our Mazik Care solution to streamline the end-to-end workflow and supply chain management of their orthopedic theatres. And then finally, over at University of Southampton, they're using AI to screen eye donations and make assessments on the suitability of donors, and which is currently a very manual process. So that's basically me. Hope that's given you a bit of insight on who we are and what we do in the healthcare sector. Before we hand over to Callum, I think we have my colleague Alona's we got a quick poll. So Alona, do you have that to hand? And then we'll hand over to Callum. So the poll is, obviously we're here to talk about EPR and integration and how we can get the most value out of that. So just a simple poll here is, what EPR system does your organization currently use? Is it Epic, Cerner, MedTech, or other? Okay. If you have to show those. So right, moving on to Callum.
Thank you. So look, if you're on this call, no doubt you will have heard much about AI, right? And it's kind of the center of lots of conversation now. So I want to nod to it before talking about data. And what I'm hoping to do in this section is talk a little bit about some of the messages that I hear across all the trusts that I talk to across the NHS, but also globally, and what I'm starting to hear from Microsoft Corp. So what is truly visible now is over the past sort of 2 years, we've seen the impact that AI is able to have on individual productivity. And that's manifold through sort of co-pilot analytics agents. But what I think is really, really exciting now is we're starting to see how that impact starts to manifest at the team level, how that scales up, and also potentially how that starts to upend entire industries. And healthcare is not immune from this. You could move me on to the next slide, please. Thanks. Actually, in some ways, healthcare has been leading the way in its adoption of AI, and that's for amazing reasons because it can have a genuine impact not only in productivity but actually in saving patients' lives, which is ultimately what we're all here to do. There's some pretty amazing stats here that I thought I'd share with the group. So, according to analysis from the Journal of Health, up to 250,000 lives annually could be saved through the adoption of AI, ultimately through reducing workers' errors, often through sort of transfer of care, but also in how information is recorded and shared. That second stat, 80% of hospitals now use AI to enhance patient care and workflow efficiency. It feels not that long ago that AI was kind of a pipe dream, and to see that number, 80% of hospitals using it today to improve efficiency is pretty amazing, actually. And then 4 out of 5 clinicians are using AI for documentation. There's obviously been lots of talk around AVT, ambient voice tech, across the UK, and a little bit of controversy back and forth. But the fact that so many frontline doctors want to use AI to make their lives easier, to me, just speaks to the benefits, right? Just moving on to the next slide. But it's not all dreams and rainbows. One of the things, and really the thrust of what we wanted to get to today, is actually AI will exacerbate some of your data issues if you have them today. So it's important to get those foundations right. If you're genuinely going to get value out, some of the amazing value that you should be and could be getting out of the use of AI and analytics more broadly. I just want to give you 3 examples of how that might manifest. So the more that we use agents, which I think of it as, think of it as your sort of chat GPT that can also take actions on your behalf, the more we're going to suffer from potential data silos. So most trusts that I speak to, the reality is there's a bit of a spaghetti of different teams consuming different types of data from different enterprise sources with different people in the middle making it all work. And actually, so it's an incredibly manual process. But we sort of cobble it together. We kind of get it to work. One of the challenges we will feel as we start to give more and more of those workflows over to AI is actually any of those underlying challenges around discrepancies and inconsistencies of data is going to be felt even more at the moment because there's so many humans in the loop and it's so manual. We're able to catch some of that. We'll feel that challenge more as we start to introduce more AI into the organization. It'll really start to expose it. So the second piece that I might highlight as well on the next slide is actually the amount of data and the types of data we're able to take advantage of, I think is going to increase through this. So for a long time, analytics and data ultimately was, text data really. It was how can we combine information, usually in some kind of database, to come to some useful insight around patients that hopefully let us improve flow, hopefully let us get to a better outcome. But the reality is 99% of the data that we hold on a patient in a trust is non-text. And to me, that's an absolute gold mine. What if we can start to combine that clinical record data with imaging data, with wearable data, maybe even with conversational genetic data? To me, there's such a richness that we can start to use to come to better outcomes for patients and the trusts that would be fools not to properly take advantage of it. And because AI has in effect sort of brought down the cost and complexity around compute, being able to sort of provide some logic over these different data sources, I think we've got an amazing opportunity here, as well as a challenge, right? How do we bring these things together? And then the third thing I might highlight on the next slide is just a final point around every single sort of analytics team, data team that I'm speaking to at the moment. They're getting a lot of downward pressure from sort of the exec around sort of those two things that I have on the right of this graph. You know, everyone wants to talk about agents, everyone wants to talk about efficiency, everyone wants to talk about how we start to provide AI on our data. But the reality is there's a whole lot of work that needs done on sort of steps 1 and 2. You know, the reality is most trusts do not have a unified data foundation. Some are closer than others through some of the amazing work around warehouses, but and data lakes. But the reality is a lot of trusts don't. So if we're going to be providing insight and information, we want to be making sure that it's on good foundations. And then also the other thing is that a lot of the time when I speak to folks and they want to deliver something with AI, actually simple analytics would do a lot of what they need. And there's often cheaper, simpler ways of delivering upon that use case. So just one of the things I'd encourage everyone on this call to think of is not to just run directly at the sort of steps 3 and 4 on this graph, those agents and the unified AI platform. You know, there's probably some stuff you can do, but really, they're there that would deliver some value. But there's a lot of value in getting those foundations right. And hopefully that's what the Mazik team are going to talk about next. And so I'll hand over.
Okay, thank you very much, Callum. So I'm going to hand over to Umar Sadiq now. He's going to talk about the healthcare data challenge. So, sorry. Yeah, one more. I believe we put a poll. What poll before we start is, what's your top priority when it comes to EPR data? Is it breaking down silos? Is it enabling real-time dashboards? Is it preparing for an AI initiatives, or is it other? So, yeah. So please put your votes in, and we'll move on to Umar.
All right. Thank you, Steve. Hello, everyone. It was really an insightful discussion by Callum, our friend from Microsoft, around how the experience he has talking to different trusts and the real-time challenges shared by them. So we all know that disparate sources and silos is a common problem that is there. So I don't want to spend much time there, but I really want to touch base some of the challenges that are hidden behind the more obvious ones, and actually the time where trust or customers have to invest into getting things straight before it goes towards production and start making wonders and returning those investments to the people in the business. So one of the challenges, apart from the fragmented data and everything, is the inefficient data delivery. So basically, when you have those disparate sources and there is a need to unify them, so unified platforms, if you are following those traditional ways of unification that involves data engineering, custom development, and everything, is an overhead around how to make that thing work, where you might need to go through duplications, you might need to go through all those risks around making different systems and different platforms talk to each other in a synchronous way. And that's definitely add not only the time and the complexity, but also budgetary overhead. And as per our study, it's almost 200,000 pounds a year for trust, depending upon the magnitude or the volumes. So that's another challenge from that connects the disparate data sources or silo data to the real world thing. And leading to that, continuing that, the data delivery inefficiency in that results also as you have to invest time to make systems talk. The other part is you have to invest time in auditing and accountability that the people and the data and the systems are talking in the right way and the right people has right access, and all those authentications, NDAs, and other overheads adds up to those challenges, and that's make it a bit more complex. So it's not only investing time trying to solve the problem, but also adding time in estimates and investments to make things work as per the regulatory and the ethical guidelines. And since in the recent world that realms to realms of AI, ethical and responsibility part is definitely very essential, apart from delivering all the wonders that are related to this AI bandwagon we all are into. So that's the challenge that comes up around when we are trying to unify data, when you're trying to create those correlations, getting insights into things. And as per like it's been 18, 20 years doing the consultancy. So these things are more technical, more a bit down the lane from the business and the productions, where actual engineers, consultants, all those technical people getting their hands dirty to make systems work. And that's where most of the, if you have business audience here, that's where your IT tickets are stuck, where people are really trying to solve problems and trying to handle things in multi-platform and multi-application domains. So these things, and that's why the things are really become challenging, and we have a need of a unification platform. So talking about those technical and the engineering problems, one other areas that comes with the cloud management or the cloud solutions is the cost part. And the point is most of our clinical research or targeted grants or projects comes with an upfront budget, and that are tied with the right ROIs and the deliverables. But on the other side, most cloud platforms work on a consumption model, means these are more opaque in nature, where you have to, where you need to worry about whether in the middle of operations or your product roadmap, is my budget is tied against the consumptions I'm doing. And that's really worried people who are responsible for handling those gatekeepers of budgets and everything. So that cloud cost misalignment also creates chaos, also creates sometimes hits, makes resistance in adapting those solutions. So where unification, cloud, data, everything is good. But if it's creating those chaos, why? The reason is that you are not sure that the ROI at the end of this thing, apart from all those clinical and innovational challenges, how much are going to cost to, and where I'm going to land with my operational cost against the achievable outcomes or the ROIs of that. So all of these challenges are combines or contributes towards how why a unification platform can help, and how it can help if trying to overcome the challenges seamlessly without making people worry about these details. So now I'm going to move towards how Microsoft Fabric and the recent changes and the healthcare accelerator that has been released going to help you in coming over in most of these challenges. Before my friend Faz going to demonstrate that, and you can see in real time how things are getting addressed. So I'm going to move towards how Microsoft Fabric going to help. It can help NHS Trust or private healthcare with multiple EPRs or healthcare systems in overcoming that. Steve, can you move to the next slide, please? Yeah. So one platform, infinite possibilities. So these infinite possibilities, definitely, and we're gonna see Microsoft has done a tremendous job. That this is right in time and right in need thing that was needed to come up with a platform that definitely give you those infinite possibilities. And partners and the partner ecosystem of Microsoft definitely help the customers in quantifying those infinite possibilities as with their business needs. So coming back, how Microsoft Fabric is really solving most of the challenges and gonna help customers in achieving their goals that are related to unification, AI, or the recent trends around getting more efficiencies, rather than trying to go in the horizontal way and try to solve all the problems in one way. So one of the major things that Microsoft Fabric offers is your native Fire and OMOP integration. So this is where we try to cut down the cost around how we can cut down the cost around the development part, the engineering part, and try to give customers more a pre-built solution that can ingest data from their Apex Cerners or any other EPRs that are available, that can ship data in Firebase directly into a medallion architecture, and allows the researchers, the clinical team to work with that data rather than worrying about those long queues of IT tickets that can give a particular data set, correlate few insights, and provide them with some solutions. Moving on that unified data hub, again, as explained by Callum, the different data types, the type of data, different from different sources, multimodal requirements, all of that can be come up into this latest one lake unified data hub, and you can definitely curate that data. You can create those pipelines on the go rather than trying to worry about different type of data and how to handle that in your system. And with all the data set up, all the pipelines automatic created in an automation way, we're not worrying about those things. The most important part is the UK compliance. So this is all compliant with NHS, DSPD, GDPR, ISOs, and Microsoft provides that sovereign trust to the customers that all of their data resides in a trusted a data center that has complied with the local guidelines and gone through all the NHS verifications, and there is no verification or there is no auditing, and there is no steps towards before you start using data that resides inside Fabric. All right, so as the Fabric, the verification part is done, and we are working in a more compliant way, how we can actually go reach to our goal, and that is the AI research, ready research acceleration. And that is where like how the data is AI ready. So as Callum explained before as well, that this unification platform, these building blocks enhance or enable customers to towards their journey of AI adoption. And basically the main goal is to get the clinical data, the research data in the hands of researchers rather than get them waiting in those long tickets. So the foundations are there, and we have the integration of agents inside Fabric, the data connectors that allow seamless connection with various data sources that are unified inside Fabric through the agent and AI foundry. And all of these definitely, Faz going to show some of those things. And our team and Microsoft will be available later on as well, how we can help people around those their journey. All right. I hope I have highlighted a few of the major challenges and how Microsoft Fabric is helping the customers dealing with those problems. Thanks, Steve. Over to you.
Okay, thanks very much for that. So before we just jump into Faz, I think we're just going to do one more poll. So if you want to pop that up on screen, that'd be great. Okay, it doesn't look like it's coming through. So Faz, do you want to move on to your section now? So let's over to yourself.
Thank you, Steve, and thank you, Umair. So basically, as part of our offering, and we work with Microsoft on basically the healthcare and the future of AI, how we can integrate and build agentic AI capabilities. With what we have basically proposed is a solution, basically a proposed solution, how multiple EPR systems can connect, and using Microsoft Fabric. And Fabric allow us to connect, hundreds of different databases, different data sources, and it creates this centralized view where you can basically create one lake interface, and from there you can build, AI, machine learning, and many capabilities. And what Microsoft Fabric also allows is that not only you get this healthcare data in a standard, SQL base or other format. Any IPR systems, most of the IPR systems supports, HL7 or 5 formats, and this Fabric Accelerator that we will demo later on today let you basically ingest the file format. So some of the building blocks that you get basically it becomes available out of the box. And yeah, Steve, if you can go to the next slide. So this is where in the next one is the proposed solution. It's a modern healthcare data architecture. We are working with many hospitals and many basically healthcare providers. And this is where it will benefit. So regardless of whether you are in Epic, Cerner, System C, or some standard system. In Microsoft Fabric, you can actually put all the scheduled data feeds. They can be data feeds. You can put all the data into the cloud or into the Fabric cloud. And within Fabric, we follow this medallion architecture where you land your data into a bronze layer. And once this data is landed, you can then convert to a relational file. And then from there, you can create more like object or OMOP models as well. But what it offers, this proposed solution also offers, is this enabling the agentic AI capabilities. And now that your data sits in Fabric in one interface, you can now query this data both via reactive agents. You can query when is, give me all the appointments for the patients for today, or basically summarize this agent in a SVR format, situation, behavior, different formats, or you can ask for a clinical assessment summary for basically a patient. So, and these things will be available. Basically, these are agents. These agents can be published in any place. There are hundreds of channels available now. You can not only you can publish in Microsoft Teams, you can just publish as like iframes, or if you have a provider portal, you can basically provide that within a web portal as an iframe or other interfaces. Epic, Cerner, they all provide those platforms where these agentic AI can be integrated. And the big benefit is that you are delivering these agents very quickly. It doesn't require a lot of development. And your data team basically give the power to the user. And these agents you can configure to use specific, GPT or open source LLM models, and to make it cost efficient and other parts. Um, and the main thing what this framework also offers is towards the right. There are a few things we are working on, basically around the future capability, mainly around cohorts or predictive models. So looking at the data on my bed and assuming there's a scheduled beat you're getting every 15 minutes of basically a delta coming into Fabric. You can build agents. You can build basically models and AI machine learning models that can automatically detect based on, say, 100 patients who are there in the hospital, at least 10 of them, if they are waiting for these three self-assessment, as long as these assessment are provided, these certain beds can get free. Or it can detect based on the data, it can start basically sending alerts that these patients who are on this particular diagnosis or this treatment, they are likely to miss visit, or you should really call them or basically interact with them. But these agents will basically revolutionize the way how the healthcare industry work, and it doesn't require this kind of architecture. It doesn't require like months and months and years to implement. We are talking about weeks to put something together. Some of the thing Microsoft has already done is, if you look on the green dots, the Microsoft has provided this healthcare data solutions as part of the Fabric. It's available free at the moment and likely to be free as well, because they are series of data pipelines. But what these product capability offers is that from the file format, it gives the whole framework and structure, and then you can get a partner like us, or you can implement yourself different agentic AI capabilities on the top. If you can go to the next slide, and we will be demoing some of this shortly. So some of the agentic API capabilities we are working on is like you can have proactive alerts, recommendations, these beds are getting free, or things around the visual dashboards showing claims, approvals. It can do predictive analysis. We are working with one provider which requires self-service agents. Basically, you have a provider, they can just start talking to the data, and you can also have like operational related intelligence workflow agents. So the capability is enormous, and it's self-service, doesn't require lots and lots of development effort. It's basically it's low code, no code platform, and yeah, as long as you use the right LLM models, right GPT models, or basically either it's 4o, 4 Omni, or it could be other open source models. You can build those agentic API capabilities on the top of Fabric. If you could go to the next slide. Yeah, and some of this thing, like, and there are two parts. There are some core capabilities that ingest the data is in file format, it gets landed to the file landing zone, gets converted to gold or silver. You get the OMOP data, you get the social determinants of health, you get text analysis for health. Basically, it can look into not only the structured data, it can also look into unstructured data. So it can look into your clinical notes. It can even look into X-rays, for example. You may have a team who are focusing on detecting cancer, building something that can look into the data and images and detect something. So you because the platform will have the copyability, you and the engineers can go and build very very similar use cases. But yeah, some of the agentic AI capabilities are clinical queries, some are operational queries. So in clinical queries are the clinician can ask about this patient vitals, or basically using natural language. It can look into all the clinical notes, and normally clinicians have to spend like 5 minutes, 10 minutes to go through the patient history. The AI can summarize all the critical indications. It can find the contraindicators. It can find allergies, diagnosis, anything related to cancer, anything. It can basically write in a natural language. It can present you in the right format. And because we are using the very high model, it just depends on which LLM model you use. You can actually train the models. There is something called chain of thoughts within models. You can actually start enforcing some of these models to learn these capabilities. So yeah, the idea is enormous, but what we are going to show is basically shortly is just the start and what we have built. Yeah, if you can go to the next slide. Some of the connectors we have worked with Microsoft as well. There are two connectors, Epic and Cerner. This one is mainly Epic. We have built some connectors using Epic Smart API version 4, for example. We can actually go and connect from Fabric, basically via Epic. We can pull data from Fabric and get those data feeds out, and the data gets exported in in a file format using the Epic Fire API, and then we can then load this data as standard interoperable file format. And basically some of these connectors are there, gets added into a notebook, and then you can use some of this as well, and you can also scale as well. If you can go to the next slide. Yes, this is another one, connectors. This is Cerner Millium, has health intent open API. We have done some work on the smart file connectors, Cerner Millium, and both of this allows you to get this data out of it. So yeah, multiple interfaces. If you can go to the next slide. I think, yeah. What I will show, if that's okay, Steve, I will just showcase my take over the screen, if that's okay.
Yeah, it's fine, Faz.
Thank you. Just a second. I will just play some of the things. Like, this is Microsoft Fabric, and what we have done is that within Fabric you can create a workspace. And before we show the agentic API, we just wanted to show you the backbone of how this works. So within Fabric there is a concept called healthcare data solutions, which we work with Microsoft on this. In healthcare data solutions, it gives you the whole medallion architecture. It gives you bronze, silver, and gold layer. And once this is set up, you can then go and, if you look at it, you can go and set up your data sources. You can set up your basically OMOP models, your care analytics. There are many out-of-the-box features which are available. And once you have deployed, it takes few minutes and sometimes 5 or 10 minutes to get this deployed. But what you get is basically the whole lake warehouse concept within Fabric interface. And as a middle architecture, you get the bronze layer where all your data gets landed. And then from bronze, you can create your relational fire, and then gold, you get this. Some of the things is around the Fabric has a bronze layer. If I can show you inside the bronze layer, if I go inside one of them, and there are some built-in libraries. You can, again, some people can write AI in Python. They can write notebook or R. It's the whole platform lets you handle this, and it's really really efficient. And some of the thing I'm showing right now is the basically clinical file format. So everything that gets landed into a bronze layer is fire. And then once it goes to the next layer, basically you can see all the files are in relational file. And once it goes there, we then have this, bronze to silver transformation layer. And what this transformation layer gives you is a SQL-based query language. You can actually convert them completely to basically a tabular structure, and from there you can go and action it. And the reason to show that is the founding principles. Some of this our team have set up. It doesn't take us months and months. We are talking about a couple of days or a week to basically set up this whole infrastructure together. But what this offers as part of the Microsoft offering is complete, basically, data set. What we will also show you, so I will just fast forward a few things, like things around, clinical file, for example. I'm showing here all the appointments which are there. I can show things around, the data model, which are there. If I have a relational IR, I can see this is the appointment. It was last updated, which system it is, and it gives you this, SQL and tabular structure to view. Yeah, and some of the things around, once this data is there, you can really query this data. The last part was within the Fabric interface, you have a concept called data agent. Um, and this data agent will be actually very useful, because you can actually use this data agent, and they can connect to your Azure Foundry or your Copilot Studio or any third-party AI agent solution. But this is the gateway how you can connect your Fabric data to a data agent.
So,
Um,
sorry to interrupt you. There is a question here. So this is from Simon Jones. So, is the healthcare module demonstrated within Fabric optimized for the NHS?
Yes. So basically, NHS, basically the Fabric module is based on the FHIR standard. In NHS hospitals, each tenant or each ICB, they may have like Epic or Cerner. This tool allows you to get extract data from Epic, Cerner, or System C, any of this. As long as this is in a file format, it will be completely compatible. Certain NHS trusts or ICBs may have extended, they may have their own Fabric, or not Fabric, like file resources. You do need to customize to add those additional semantic models. But this is the start, and the way these pipelines are configured, if I go into the real demo, basically this is the data, for example, for patient. And if there are other attributes, other data models are there, they can actually, yeah, they can actually go and add this value.
Cheers, Fallon. Okay. We've got some more questions, but what we'll do is let's carry on, and we'll come back to the questions at the end. Anybody in the chat, like Uma, if there's any that you can answer in the chat or in the Q&A section, please free. Okay, Faz.
Sure, and the main thing is that within the interface, you can actually, these are all the pipelines. In pipelines, you can do transformation. So if you find certain things that they are not matching, this is within the interface. You can go, and there are notebooks written in Python, other languages. You can go and change the transformation. But this is the building block. It doesn't. This is what Microsoft has done, and we have done. But basically, this is the building a starting point. You can easily extend on this. If I can show a few things as well, though I don't want to sidetrack.
I'm just conscious of time, because we're up to quarter to, and we wanted to show the agents. So
agents as well, absolutely. So some of the things we did around the Epic thing, there are many notebooks. If I go inside, you want to pick data from Epic, very simple. People, I can see there are a few people who are very well versed in Epic interfaces, but yes, we can get this data out, and there are scripts which can do that work. If I can quickly show a set of agents as well, we have prepared for the demo. So assuming we have data which is now built within the Fabric. Fabric has a data agent concept. What we can do is that we can then create an agent using Copilot Studio or Microsoft 365 Copilot, or you can, if you really want to use the power of your LLM and very enriched, you can use Azure AI Foundry. AI Foundry has a connector to the Fabric interface. And what it can do, which what we have done in this session today, we have created Fabric agent, and these agents can be published into your existing. It could go completely inside Fabric Epic interface or Cerner interface. You don't have to go and basically do build integrations because they are built on Fabric. Basically AI Foundry. You can either integrate by this chat, the chat completion interface, which is API based, or you can simply put this whole thing in an iframe within the Fabric environment. But what it does offer, if I can just put some questions, I'm asking about basically if I ask like what are I have a patient which is basically Mr. Thyroid My chart, which exists in my Epic format and now in Fabric, and I can write simple questions. What are the medical reasons Mr. Chart has visited the clinic? And based on this, it can look into it and it can basically summarize the data. And because we are in a Fabric, more of a sandbox environment, you may see a slowness, but as long as you have better compute, you will get basically quick responses. If I would like to summarize, basically, I asked for medical reasons, and then it basically said that Mr. Theodore visit the clinic for hypertension, shortness of breath, and coughness of blood. If I go to, can you summarize this in a format? And it can look into it, and it can look all the clinical notes, both structured, which is normal, and it can also look into the unstructured data. Your clinical notes could be in like a plain text, or it could be in PDF documents. Because these agents are connected to the Azure Foundry behind the scene, there's an architecture called retrieval augment generation, where you have indexed basically your documents, your X-rays and other things. It can look into the data, and it can also talk to data as well. And this is really the powerful thing. One of the thing which I even tried just before the call, like in the UK now, normally you also want to do like SVR format. So for example, can you summarize Mr. Chart in SVR? SVR is basically sequential behavior assessment readiness. But basically, if you ask for questions, it can summarize the clinical notes in a way that basically it is really available for the doctors. So I created this summary earlier. It just generated. But yeah, it gives you situation, behavior, background, assessment, and recommendation. But it tells you here's the patient. The background is this. There has been 3 recent encounters. If I can zoom in, I can zoom in. 3 recent encounters. They were office visit, then hospital encounter, and then office visit. And the condition is hypertension, fatigue, and thyroid problem. And basically, the patient has visited this. You can have a follow-up conversation. And this is really powerful. And with so little work, this whole thing can be put together within weeks. We're not talking about 6 months of massive implementation, but this is the power of Microsoft Fabric and the Ajax API. One of the thing I was also looking at this.
I'm just conscious of time. We've got 10 minutes left. So did you want to jump into the dashboard? Yeah.
Yeah. Apologies, I get excited. So yeah, before I just do that, another thing, like again, some of the thing is just depend on the data you have ingested. In this data, we've already ingested the the patient demographics data, their appointments, and the conditions. But imagine if you ingest the whole assessment, their summary, their clinical notes, you can actually go and get lots and lots of data. And I just made a simple agentic question where give me this, and it can not only summarize, but it can also start recommending things. And this is the power of LLM will come. You can basically get the AI to learn from it. I will just flick to another screen for the demo. There was another thing we built. So today's session was not just the AI agent. Now that your data is there within the agent, within the Fabric platform, you can also basically I go inside into this, you can also go and start querying this data or making this data available, because we have created this silver and the gold layer, and gold layer is where your cohorts are there, your predictive models are there. So what you can do, you can also publish this data back to your the Power BI report. So we have built set of reports for a set of customers. Again, it's completely customizable, and if I come here, for example, compare provider, it can across hospital for this use case, there were a number of hospitals, and we were able to see people length of stay. So the average time when basically length of stay the patient stays, and then if we discharge the patient and the patient comes back to the basically to the hospital, we call it return to work, and they were able to see compare across hospitals for certain kind of if I just say neurology, and in neurology I've got these hospitals, I can see for certain hospitals basically their return to work is different, and certain hospitals have very high basically cost per care. And you can see, for example, this Arnold Parkman Hospital has more high, more cost per care, and their average length of stay was different. But what we were able to see within this is basically using that interface, using the file formats, and basically we were able to compare different hospitals. And again, because the data is in file, you can build different reports. You don't have to build their own structure. One of the thing we did was around like this is another interface cost free 360 for basically if you've selected a provider or program for length of stay, we can actually see how they have done, what is their cost of it. What we have also offered is, again, this is the Power BI Q&A, but if you use the Microsoft Fabric, you can have a Fabric Copilot, and Copilot can build simple questions. If I cross this out, and I can ask questions, and when I ask, it can it can start recommending many things, and if I just pick up certain words, it can look at it, and it can give you charts and other things as well. And that's the power of Fabric and other interfaces. One of the things we've also
Sorry,
yes
a couple
yeah.
of questions still in the chat, so some have been answered. So there is I'm unclear which part of what you are presenting are generic Fabric capabilities and which parts are additional capabilities provided by Mazik.
Most of it is part of the as a Fabric core, but the agentic capabilities we have shown today is part of the Mazik capabilities. I will, if I can summarize this, I will come back and answer that question.
Okay.
I think, yeah. If I can complete this, we can go back to this solution where it says which one is partner capability and others. But is the time it's a time to value. Either we do the same work, you do the same work in 6 months, and you get us, and we can just do that within 6 weeks or 8 weeks. It's just the time to value that makes difference. If I can just, before I summarize this, another thing we did was around this. I can do that. So if I'm looking at a single patient, we can actually look into a patient, and some of the work using OpenAI, we can go and create the whole clinical assessment summary. And that was like in one for this Ottawa hospital that we work with, clinicians would take about 5 hours, 4 hours to create very comprehensive document. But what we did was we were able to create this document and put this document back into their existing EMR platform in a Word format. But this was pre-generated document, look into various data sets, summarizing things, and then they were able to cut down that 4 hour of work to like less than 20 minutes. And it's the system does it. And basically there is still a human in the loop who will go and review that document. But the clinicians or the people who create this summary, they don't have to spend hours and hours creating this document. So I will stop sharing the screen. Steve, if you can go back and show that thing, we can answer that question.
Yeah, so just going back to some of the questions there. So yeah, so that was the there was another question as well. Let's have a look. Besides iframes from our EHR front end, so you have experience in getting insights, data, and alerts back into the clinical systems.
Yeah. So now that you have built these AI agents, there was a thing that see if you can build up that screen. I will just show you. The proposed solution. We can show that thing, and we can answer that question. But basically, from the interface, basically once you have created the fabric layer, within that you have a model called cohorts model, or you can create predictive models. These models or data sets, you can publish this data back to the Fire. Fire has this what we call, you have Cobodal, and you also have this Nebula format. There you can actually create these models, and then you can put this model back. So yeah, like some of the things right to the end, which says future capabilities around the once you need to build the core architecture first, but these predictive models using API, because they are available, and this you can basically make them available directly within the Epic platform. So Epic has this model interface. I have seen one implementation where we have created like predictive models, and these models can then get published within Fabric. And that model was, if you discharge the patient, what is the likelihood of patient going into rehab again? So that the thing was displayed within the patient 360 view within Epic. You have a patient card, and we could just display that information back in Fabric.
Okay. The other question here is, I think the answer is no to this, but is the patient and self-service agent linked to the NHS? Sorry, bit confused on that part. So I think the answer is no. We've created the agent just to bring the functionality. But Faz, if you want to comment on that.
So is this a question? Is the Microsoft AI agent registered as a medical device?
Yes. Is it linked to API? Is it linked to the NHS app?
Not at the moment, but we are working with NHS. We are working on to get this detect approved with NHS. So some of the thing we will work with Microsoft to get the core capability detect approved, and then and as part of detect we will get this we will register as a device itself. It will come at some point. But the thing that we have shown, like any ICBs can take it from there and also implement, basically register then within the system.
We've got a question here again from Leicestershire. What is your interface with TPP product EPR? And it's put, I think the questions were confused.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
Sure. Maybe
yeah.
Is it Patricia? Maybe you want to put
If
that
you
back
can,
in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, well, any questions that we've not answered, we'll provide those answers as well
Yeah.
back in email. So I'm just conscious of time. Let's just see if there's any more questions. I think we've covered most of the questions. Okay. So is there any final thoughts from yourself, Faz, before?
Yes. I just found it. The TPP is basically, system one, you have it. System one provides data in a file format. So you don't have to build an interface. What we need from system one TPP is to export data in like a data feed to as a file format that I showed earlier. Or in this interface, your EPR system is basically TPP. We need to look at work with you and basically create data feeds, and as long as data feeds becomes Fire, it goes to Bronze, and you have the core capabilities there.
Okay, cool. All right then. So look, we've got a couple of minutes left. Just want to wrap things up. So in terms of anybody who would like to, obviously we tried to cover quite a lot today. There's probably still lots of questions, etc. So what we're prepared, what we're looking to do is if what we've talked about is you've seen something you like, or you want to explore a further conversation around this, then we're offering a 2-hour consultation, with one of our architects. So basically it's a chance to map out kind of where you are now, and ask any questions that you've actually got, and just to see how the kind of Mazik Healthcare Accelerator can support your goals. So look, from our perspective, it's no commitment from yourself. It's just simply an opportunity to kind of talk through, what the art of the possible is. And, finally, for those people who are probably a little bit more further on in their journey, then we have our fast track innovation program. So this is a restricted proof of concept offer. With we've working with Microsoft, we can release up to $25,000 of funding. We can use that to help with co-designing some of the highest value use cases based on some of the dashboards that you've kind of seen today. We're able to leverage some of the Azure cloud credits as well to offset some of the implementation costs. And this is really, the starter kit. This is like a starter kit, but what it includes is the kind of FHIR and API connectivity. We've got the kind of real-time clinical dashboards, and then also as well, we've got the agentic AI that you've seen today for summarizing the assessments and summaries. Okay, and the best part is that this is available on the Microsoft marketplace right now. So if we can put that in the chat, that will be great. And I think we were just going to release one more poll here in terms of so if you want to release that last poll. Okay, so in just put so whether you're interested in the initial so what's this webinar, so would you like to kind of book a one-to-one with ourselves to explore this in more detail? Would you like to explore, are you further along in your journey? So would you like to explore the offer of a potential funded proof of concept? Not interested at all, or something else? Okay, so that really just kind of wraps everything up. So what we've shown you today is, we talked about the unified, fragmented EPR systems. We've looked at some of the kind of dashboards around Discharge 360, how we can leverage, Microsoft Fabric to kind of drive, with AI to drive smarter decisions, faster and better outcomes. So, and whether you're just kind of starting or already on that data journey, this is a solution that can help your organization unlock the full value of your healthcare data. So thank you all today. Well, we hope, I know it's been a pretty technical session, but we hope you found this session valuable and full of ideas that you can take back to your organizations. If you'd like to stay in contact, you can scan the QR code that's on the screen here. That will allow you to be able to follow us on LinkedIn. We'll also be sending out a link to the recording, which we'll put up on our channel, and we'll put it on the YouTube channel. So in case you've missed it, or you'd like to share it with your colleagues or rewatch it back, you'll have that available. And if you're interested in exploring these, how these solutions could work in your setting, we really would love to continue the conversation. We've got a lot of experience in the healthcare sector. We're driving a lot of innovation in the kind of Microsoft healthcare innovation. And so thank you for your time, and hopefully we'll soon. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.